camera the other direction because the sun shines directly right into it. The reason you're seeing a gray here is this is the shadow of the hotel. It's actually a bright sunny day. And it's going to be hot. It's already hot. I've got the door closed here. I don't have the air conditioner on, but I've got the door closed. The nighttime cool feeling is still here in the room. So. Okay, here we go. You know what we're doing. It's still going to be around for a few more days yet. The idea had been, when I left you on Thursday, the idea was to finish this arm and paw Thursday and Friday, and then today we would glue down and start carving the face. Thursday and Friday had other ideas. The girls are waiting for this. You know, this is so late. This is the print that's going to be published on August the 1st. August the 1st. We'll get there. We'll get there. Where am I? Just a minute. We're here. Yo-sho. We'll get there. I know, like, why do I keep interrupting it? The problem is, it's the firefighting thing. You know, all day Thursday and Friday, the other work that came to my desk was work that if I didn't do it, the next person in line can't do their work. For example, yesterday, I spent all day yesterday sitting here at the bench doing chiritori, picking bark, checking prints, clearing them. Okay, no. They're prints that have already been sold, subscription prints. Ome is waiting for packing. They were really bugging me. I was supposed to send them last Monday, and they didn't get them. So they're just standing there with their arms crossed with no work to do because I haven't got those prints prepped. So yesterday, I had to spend the entire day doing that. There's nobody else that can do that job. So this just gets pushed to the back. So I'm sleepless. Okay, I sleep well, I eat well, it's okay. I don't abuse myself here. It's fine. I'm taking care of myself. But as a result, other jobs don't get done. So that's what it's been like for us now. This whole pandemic year has been like this, you know. Okay, anyway, let's go. Not enough complaining. Let's keep going. I'll work down the arm here. Yeah, it's an arm. Tigers have arms. Arm to the paw. And we certainly won't finish it today, so the next stream, it'll be Monday or so, we will get busy on the face. Paper out. There's no paper out. There's nobody here today, nobody here tomorrow, nobody here Monday or Tuesday or perhaps Wednesday. It's late July, and it's coming up to the Obon season, and a combination of two things. The printers are scheduling their time. They are waiting for the wood block anyway, so they're scheduling their holidays and stuff. Ishikawa-san went to Kyushu, I believe, with her husband. Sugu-san is going to relax at home. They're waiting for the woodblocks. 2 more carvers and 6 more printers. We could do with 1 more carver, and assuming professional, full professional, get it going printers, 2 more printers. That's all we could really handle at the moment. Over the years, if we kept continuing, we could then do more. But at the moment, 1 more. If we jumped ahead 10 years, if Taran-san jumped ahead 5 years or something like that, and then if 2 more professional printers appeared from nowhere, that's all we could handle at the moment. And some say she's packing up to come and help. Nobody can help with this stuff. That job I had to do yesterday, I looked at each one of the prints Sugu-san just gave me, and I've got to decide, is that okay? Is that not good? Can I take the bark out of it? It's not a job I can delegate. You know. What has been delegated and worked really well, yesterday was Friday, and both Yamada-san and Watanabe-san were here. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Watanabe-san has been working on the collection photography for the past year or so, the past year. And in June, we sort of hired her. We offered full-time. She couldn't take that, but we hired her in June to be the lady who's taking care of what we still call our flea market. Name change coming up, I think. And she has been taking photography, getting new labels organized, getting price stickers. She has rebuilt that entire department, or is in the process of rebuilding it. And it's coming alive. And the two of them yesterday spent the whole day photographing prints, packing prints, looking up print descriptions, getting them ready, and then dumping them in my mailbox so that I can do the final read and check and open them up online. So So stuff is getting delegated. That whole flea market used to be something I did by myself, and now we have competent people doing it. It's really moving forward, you know. I think I showed some of the numbers in a previous video, or in a blog post there, that up until last year or so, the flea market had been 3% of our online sales. And coming into June, it was still somewhere around that 3%. But after June, it is now, after June is finished, the flea market is now 21% of our online sales for the entire year. So it did that well in June that it boosted 3 to 21 in 1 month. So she has really done a wonderful job waking it up. Okay, where am I? That's this piece here. That's this one. The bottom of it's clear. 2 scoops and a 4 scoop at the bottom. There's 2 scoops and 4 scoops. Okay, let's do this. Other news is there that I'm supposed to relate here today. We are going to have a show and tell today, for me, a very, very, very interesting one. It's one of the most beautiful, beautiful objects in the collection here. It's something that I think I might have actually shown a little bit a couple of years ago. I might have brought it out and said, hey, look at this cool thing, and we closed it up and put it away. So I think many of you, or some of you who've been long time viewers, will have seen this before, perhaps. Most people won't have, and it doesn't matter. We'll look at it more carefully today anyway. So I'm at the point now, of course, I've got the collection room upstairs, and I have no idea in my head here. I didn't keep track. What did I show on the stream and what didn't I show? I have no idea. So eventually we're going to start getting, more and more repeats, of course, I guess. It doesn't much matter. There's always more new things to see here. Okay, what was I sent this email to the mods here a few minutes ago, just before. I got an email in my box overnight, an email from YouTube, and it didn't have any content. It just had an image. So I sent this to the mods a few minutes ago. There's no reason. Let's share it with everybody. Or maybe they've already posted this into the chat here. I don't know. Here's the image. This is the image that YouTube sent in the email last night. Oh, John's saying, why we need 2 more carvers? I can spend all my time on the fires and on the production. I don't want to be a firefighter. I want to be a carver, of course. I want to be a carver. So, the thing is, that email, we're chatting with the mods this morning about this, that email. What does it mean? Does it mean like they've dropped this into the shipping and that 6 weeks from now it's going to show up maybe in the post? Or does it mean that they're teasing me and it's going to is it coming in the door in a few minutes? I mean, well, how serious are they about that email? So I don't know. My guess is it means it's just been shipped, I guess. I don't know. Anybody else got any experience of this? It's silly, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's a number on a website, how many people have, quote, subscribed. I understand that it's nothing, but somehow, whatever, I don't know, it doesn't feel like nothing, so I don't know. I'll take whatever I get, it's okay. on a really, anybody who's had anything to do with any kind of social media, has to keep these things in mind. Facebook clicks and likes and all that stuff. Anybody who starts getting overly interested in how many people clicked on that last post I made and stuff like that, if you allow yourself to get overly interested in that, that's the beginning of the end, and it's done, because it's meaningless stuff, And this is verging into that kind of territory, so I have mixed feelings. I should, if I was a perfect person, I think I should just ignore this, Oh yeah, whatever, robots, But I'm not a perfect person, so whatever, so... That air conditioner out there, you can hear it, to show it to just scale down, scale up, scale down. It's fun carving these, we've talked about it before, these little curves, the swoop curves of this. It's just such fun carving them. I've complained about how long this has taken because of the other work, but actually it's a really pleasurable job, It's really fun carving this. Yeah, it's a marker. It's just whatever. It's validating that I'm doing something useful for society. Do I need the validation? I don't think so. I'm having fun. But yes, of course, it's ego. Every morning in the email, the comments, the people watching on YouTube. It's all ego. It's fun. So I'm happy. Of course. It's pure, look at me, narcissism. Okay, whatever. I agree, it's ego, and the thing is, we could look at like human ego and say this is not so good. This person thinks he's so full of himself, or he thinks he's better than the rest of us, or blah blah blah. There are bad parts to the ego thing, but there's sort of a collateral damage to this idea of ego, in that there are people who overly have too much of this. They actually sort of do get stuff done. Whether the motivation is pure or not is perhaps sort of irrelevant, So I don't know. I'm not going to lie down on the couch and analyze myself, whatever here, And I don't even know. I have no way of telling what my motivations are or stuff like this. But it sort of doesn't matter, I think. Your motivation, why each of these people are doing these things is kind of irrelevant if the end result is sort of useful to the world as a whole, So I don't know. I'm not going to overthink this too much. I'm already overthinking it, but not much more. And anyway, we are what we are. I can't change who I am and stuff. So just ride with it. This guy, who did the drawing on this, there's a bunch of brush strokes that are sort of really carefully done and smooth, and they taper nicely. Then there's other areas where it's a bit kind of messy, and you think, like, what was this guy doing? Was he trying to give it a roughness, or was he just in a hurry? How much should I clean these up and make them neat? This area particularly, there's a whole bunch of them that are sort of broken at the front. I think I better pretty much just sort of carve what I see. Don't try and muck around with it too much. What other news? Oh, yes. There is some other news, and it's going to affect a whole bunch of people out there. Other news. Actually, it's a kind of interesting. There's an interesting backstory to it. I have to be careful how much there's private business stuff going on with somebody the last few days. A collector customer, somebody who's been a correspondent and an internet friend type person, and collecting our prints, tried to get some prints from us a while ago, and the area that this person is living in is not available for the post office to ship to at the moment. Normally we would ship by post office EMS, and that area is currently still out of action because there's so few flights going back and forth, apparently, we were told. Anyway, this friend said, well, how about using FedEx, And we're like, look, we've been around this a dozen times. FedEx is too expensive for that kind of stuff. The FedEx rate sheet that we have, we've been customers of FedEx now for over a year, and they prepared us a rate sheet, which we have taken as, that's the FedEx rate sheet. So we quoted this person FedEx prices based on, FedEx's rate sheet, which we thought was kind of a sensible thing to do. He didn't take no for an answer. He came back and said, I'm sorry, that's not right. I've been buying other stuff from Japan, from companies of a similar, scope to yours. And here's the price they quoted me for FedEx, and it was, like a third of the price that we were quoting him for FedEx. And I'm like, I just shrugged my shoulders. Look, guy, what can I do? This is FedEx's price. I don't know what those other people are doing. They've made a mistake in their shopping cart. They're losing money hand over fist. They decided to swallow the rate. I don't know. But this gentleman, this friend, he pushed a little bit because he wants these prints and he wants them at a reasonable price, and he thinks that I'm missing something here. So whatever. So over the last few days, Wednesday, Thursday, and again yesterday, we have been back and forth with our rep at FedEx. We've been looking at this and that on the net here and there. And Aoyama-san got an answer from the rep yesterday. And the guy said, okay, all right, okay, we'll send you a new rate sheet effective next Monday. Prices 1/3 of your current level. And I can't hear this. He's on the phone, and I see his face, like, what's happening with his face. And he puts the phone down. This is Aoyama-san, speaking in Japanese. He's a Japanese person, negotiating in Japanese, doing Japanese. He puts the phone down, turns to me, and then he tells me this news. They're going to drop the prices to 1/3 of the previous level. And, like, he himself cannot believe this. He's been stunned by this. And I'm like, okay, about time. And there's a really, really fun, interesting cultural thing happening here. Business negotiation. We've all seen these stories in the newspaper. American, some Toyota, blah, 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 blah. Japanese negotiating team, American negotiating team, European, whatever, let's say American. And we sort of have this image, American negotiating team. Suits, powerhouse, bang, bang. Strong negotiators, world-class negotiators. Japanese businessmen, polite. And as a result, the negotiating, we read these stories that Japanese people buy Rockefeller Center for 1,000 times too much money or something like this, We read these stories all the time about Japanese businessmen getting taken to the cleaners in an international environment. Here in Japan, they negotiate with Japanese people. It's whatever. They're all on the same table, speaking the same language, doing the same thing. So you get what I'm getting at. Here's Dave trying to run a company here in Japan. And we all know the phrase, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? We've also seen the opposite. Some big American company comes into Japan, we're going to blow them away, we're going to do it, we're going to sell our Chevrolet cars, blah, blah, blah. And then 10 years later, out they go because they have totally failed to understand the Japanese market. So both things are true. Both things are true. When you're here in Japan doing business, do you do it the Japanese way? Do you sell things and market things and negotiate the Japanese way, or do you do them your foreign way? And in this particular example with us, so far, our negotiation, such as it was with FedEx, was non-existent. We just simply accepted what they said without even questioning it. Dave here getting pushed by this gentleman in Australia here, who really wasn't going to take no for an answer. Dave finally says, okay, let's take off my Japanese hat, let's put on my Canadian hat, and push these guys a little bit. And they said, okay, 1/3. I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. Both things are true. You have to behave in a Japanese way, or you will never succeed. It will be a chaotic disaster. But do you have to accept the Japanese, you have to drink all the Japanese Kool-Aid? And Aoyama-san on the phone hadn't wanted to be obnoxious. He hadn't wanted to be, you know the word, heiwa o mamoru, preserve the peace, don't rock the boat kind of stuff, don't make trouble, is the mantra here. But that doesn't work between me and FedEx negotiating the rates. Obviously, those guys have all the power. And as long as we didn't say anything, they dominated us. And as soon as we pushed back a little bit, they're like, okay. I'm not seeing any comments here. I'm sorry. I should be following a little bit on this. I'm sorry. The Japanese do fine in the Japanese environment, of course. It's when you fly out into the world with people with different rules and culture, the stuff gets really, really difficult. Somebody's asking, was FedEx price gouging if they could still profit at 1/3 the price? I know nothing about their inside, but there was a news report that I shared with Cameron-san. It was about 2 weeks ago. It mentioned FedEx's profit for it would be the second quarter, which would be April, May, June. They'd close their books and they announced their profit for the second quarter. This is the global FedEx. It was over $2 billion. This is not their volume of business. This is their profit for 3 months, $2 billion. And we brought this up in the conversation yesterday. I had given Aoyama-san some talking points about this. They're doing fine. And this is the deal about negotiating. You know, I learned a bunch of this back in Canada. I was working for the music store. We were buying flutes from Conn and then saxophones from Elkhart, Indiana and stuff. And those guys were rough, tough negotiators. And you had to come at things from a position of strength. And when both sides are strong, and you know the other guy is strong, you can bang on the table, you can do things, you can negotiate and push, and you'll come away with an agreement that suits both people. The problem is when both sides aren't speaking the same language, or when both sides aren't strong. You can't negotiate when there's a weak person involved, you know. This is the whole thing at this end in Japan between employers and employees. Employers are hugely strong, have all the power. Employees are completely weak. They're not allowed to say anything. So there's no possibility of sensible negotiation. We've talked about this before. I've had employees now here for over 10 years since I opened Mokuhankan, and never once in the 10 years, and I can say this, never once in 10 years, and it will never happen. Never once has any one of them come to me and said, Dave, I've been here, a few years, I think I'm kind of doing a good job, and and I'm like, oh, you want to talk about salary? Okay. That's never happened and never will happen. Just the idea that any one of these people could come to me and say that, Cameron could, I guess. He's American. Is he listening? No, it's Saturday. He's off. So it's up to me at this end, and this is the assumption here in Japan. One more reason why they don't have this conversation is because the assumption is there's a paternalistic viewpoint here, that the guy at the top, in this case me, or the Toyota people, the board of directors or whatever, that the people at the top are looking out for the employees' interests. So that's a sort of inherent assumption in the system here. So that people don't feel or don't understand or don't have any sense that they should talk individually about this thing. Remember, it's a whole different ground set of rules. In a classical, traditional Japanese company, people aren't paid individually. I mean, the pay rates are not calculated individually. They're calculated on your job description and how long you've been here and how many kids you've got and how far you commute and stuff like that. So there's been no reason for such discussions to ever happen because everything was always decided. But in a little company like this, we don't have that structure in place. So Dave here expects these people to talk to me about their feelings and concerns, but they don't. So Cameron's listening. He's going to talk to me on Monday morning for sure now. too bad. I really can't keep track of the other side of this conversation. I'm sorry. I throw ideas out, I chat, but I can't get any sense of the other people's ideas. So I'm sorry about this. I try and read later on, but I can't. Oh, the raise at the music shop. Did I talk about that years ago? Yeah. So exactly the same story. Have I ever considered audio recording one of the closed door carving sessions? Closed door? You mean like after the stream is gone and I sit here carving? I don't know. I don't want to start doing the ASMR videos thing. This last video we put out kind of came close to this, and a bunch of people thought, okay, Dave at last has jumped on the ASMR bandwagon here, and I was trying not to put that feeling across. I just wanted to make a video about the pace and the rhythm and the sounds of the printing, but I really don't want to put myself into that world too much, so I can imagine I come tomorrow to work on Monday morning, and they've got together in the background, and because they weren't able to talk to me individually, they thought I was too much of a unapproachable person. They've got together, and all the workers are on strike starting Monday morning. Sugi-san and Ishikawa-san, they're standing outside with a sign that says on strike for better working conditions, etc., etc. I have a nightmare about that tonight. Mokuhankan on strike. Okay, where am I? There's the 2-4. What is this lump? That's this one here. Height 2-4. Smooth 4. Oh, there's one here too now. There's a black lump here, which is clearly a black lump. It's a black spot on the tiger skin. No problem. This is also a black spot. The guy has drawn hair and lines and sort of a tiger pattern. But then something like this now. We have, look at this, we've got hairs, 1, 2, 3, no problem. We've got hairs here, 1, So this black spot, looking at it here as a printer, I'm thinking that this is actually 4 hairs. And the guy who did the printing on the previous job here, a little bit of tamari is in here, and these are actually separate hairs that got a blot inside. Same thing here, you can see this. There's clearly a black stripe and a black stripe, and there's a black blob inside. And that's tamari. So when I carved that a minute ago, I carved out clear between the two. But I could be wrong. It could be a black spot with a couple of hairs growing out of it. And I have no way of knowing what it is. This is the conundrum I was facing when I did the Great Wave tracing all those years ago. 6, 7 years ago. So this is it's an open call. I could do this either way. If I carve what I see, my print will have this black blob. And it doesn't really matter whether it was a designed black blob or whether it was a black blob from the printer. And our own print will have its own tamari black blobs here and there, perhaps. We'll try and minimize them, but with a print with such small detail, there's going to be some. So I don't know. It's, you can't overthink this stuff too much. When I did the Great Wave tracing, there was lots of people that said, you're totally wasting your time. Feed it to Photoshop. Photoshop can find those lines for you. They can do vector graphics. You can just feed it to Photoshop and sit back and then carve the result. And no, that's not possible because Photoshop doesn't know how to look at this and say what was intentional and what was an artifact of the printing. And maybe at some point AI or the software can get enough experience with this. You feed it enough different examples of what tamari looks like and et cetera, et cetera. And presumably at some point the software could be intelligent, whatever word you want to use, to be able to do this. So I get it. It's not that I'm doing something, transhuman or anything. But at the moment, it's too much of a call. And here we are. So what I've done with this one then is this. Here we go. I've carved 4 hairs. Let me just clean up here for a sec. 1 sec. I've carved 4 hairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've joined 2 and 3 together to make it look like it's one hair that splits. Whether that's what the original designer drew or not, I don't have a clue, but it will look really nice. And if I had never mentioned this right now, nobody in this universe would ever have known that there was an issue there. Now that's head and this is arm. So that's going to be traced. Okay, so the tracing comes later, so we're going to clear this. This is head. That hair will come, it fits behind the ears, behind the eyes. So we're going to separate these out. There's my dividing zone. That's the hair, which we'll do later on the head, and this is now part of the tiger's arm. In fact, let's just cut it away here. Boo, air conditioner. Boo, boo. What is it? E flat? Boo. I heard it in my dreams. I still don't know what it is. E flat, kind of somewhere around there. I don't know. Somebody got a tuner. They can tell the pitch of the air conditioner. I don't know. Conversation. Hey. Is it an E? It's not an E. B. I don't know. I should keep quiet. I'm going to make a fool of myself. Is it an E? Do I have verification? It's an E flat? I don't have perfect pitch. Now, David's not trying to play this game. I cannot take any pitch and tell you what it is. I'm actually not good at that at all. What I had, maybe it's still a touch of it. What I had when I was playing music is because he spent so much time with a flute in my hand. You know what a flute sounds like. So when I hear that now, I'm hearing it as though with my eyes closed and I were playing it on a flute. So I'm hearing flute tone. So what's that called? Relative pitch? I don't know. There's a word for it. Out in isolation, I would have no idea what that pitch is. But having the history of sticking a tube in my hands and knowing with all my fingers closed that makes an E flat, and it sounds like the sound that makes. Is there a name for it? I don't know. If you donk on a piano, boom, 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 I can't tell you what it is. I have no pitch at all like that. No, that's not relative pitch. Relative pitch is something different to show. It's when you're given a bass and how far are you from the bass or something. Given that, let me sing a major third up from there or something like that. I think that's what relative pitch means. So it's flute pitch or whatever. I don't know if there's a name for it. People who have experience with a single musical instrument, they hear a tone and they relate it to the sound that they're familiar with while playing that instrument. I don't know if there's a name for it. And if I got closer, that's a real wonder of the world, because I haven't had a flute in my hand. The last time would have been September 1986 would be the last time I had held a flute in my hand. So whatever we're looking at is a memory from half a lifetime ago. I guess it's like riding a bicycle, whatever they say. I don't know. I also got it confused back then too, because I started as a flute player, classical flute player, but then I dabbled around. So next was tenor sax, baritone sax, and that kind of, at the other end of the scale, that kind of screws things up. So, and then I spent a bunch of time mucking around with guitars. So I guess the pitch now, whatever I've got, is all over the map. I don't know. Perfect pitch goes away with age, does it? Or no idea. John's posing a question. So if I did pick up that flute again, this has been in the back of my mind. I'm not going to do anything about this now. It's just simply a mental exercise here. What would it be like? The box is up there, and any number of times in the past 35 years. And in fact, I've been requested by TV shows. This is not recent. This is 5, 6, 10 years ago, whatever. The story of your life, blah, 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 blah. This comes out. There's a flute upstairs. I'm touched for 25 years, whatever. Guys, let's go do this. Let's open it up. I want to hear you play. And I'm like, here, you're going to record for a TV program, the guy touching his flute for the first time in 25 years. What have you been smoking, So no, but I am curious. Now I'll know how to put it together. I could pick it up. Even now I can do the finger motions. That part would be okay, but you're going to put it to your mouth, and now it's muscles. And it's muscles that were trained daily for a decade, and then not trained. And I think it's muscles. The muscles wouldn't know what to do. The brain would send the signal, do this, poo, and the muscles are going to say, like, who are you kidding, So I think John's sort of partly right. Picking it up, I think I could, the fingers and stuff would work, but I don't think I'd be able to make nice tone. Or if I did, for a few seconds only, until that muscle said, well, we can't do that anymore, you know. I don't know. I don't know. Well, John's had this experience, soca, bass. So, no idea. I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to try it. I'd rather have the anticipation than the knowledge. The knowledge is either going to be, hey, I can play Mozart, or, oh my God, what were you thinking of? But I'd rather have the question than the answer. I don't know if that sounds stupid or something. I don't know, whatever. I'm sorry. There it is. But Ome is out there, the flutes and the saxophones. There's 2 or 3 saxophones, a flute, a couple of flutes, some piccolos, guitar or 2. The instruments are out there in Ome in the closets. And it's a concrete bottom there. Nobody in the world would be able to hear me. So I do have the license to do this without embarrassing myself. But no, I'd rather have the question, I think. Maybe it's like those people here in Japan, whatever, some guy gets sick or he finds a lump in his body or something, and they go to the doctor. So, no, I'm not going to go. It's okay, it's okay. Go to the doctor. You know, you might have cancer. Go to the doctor. You know, no, it's okay, it's okay. I'm going to be all right. It's kind of like that. I'd rather have the question than the answer. You know, I don't want to know about this, you know, because I'm afraid what the answer might be. So I don't want to know the answer. You know, so. I should mention too, in real life, when it comes to the medical questions, I'm not like that. I do get checked up. So I was just using that as a weak analogy to the point here. But I am not that kind of a dude in real life with that question. You know, I'm not a hypochondriac, but I do. If something seems like it might be going wrong, I go get checked. Absolutely. So I would like to be here for some time to come yet. So. That's one aspect of life I'm going to try and be sensible with. I'm not hearing the garbage truck so loudly today. I've got the door closed here. It's a really warm, hot day outside. So the inside here was quite cool from the nighttime cool. So I've got the door closed. So you're hearing my voice on the inside mic, and you're hearing the garbage truck on the outside mic. So. Hope we can see the garbage truck today. Soka, Soka. We're looking left. Conversation. Looks like you guys are really having good conversation today. I'm sorry to miss it. I will try and get to this at lunchtime. It's actually the next 2-3 days. Now, the next 2 days here, I will be completely alone. Saturday and Sunday. Usually, Ishikawa-san's printing or something upstairs. There's nobody here. I now have 2 completely free days, which means really there will be lots of progress made on these because my obligations for Ome are done yesterday. The staff coming to me all day long, do this, do this, do this. That's not going to happen Saturday or Sunday. So we are now, when we come back Monday morning, we're going to see some results here. The outside mic is at its normal level. I think it's a quiet morning. You heard the garbage truck, but that's it. I know. The outside mic is there, just for a test here. I'll turn off the outside mic for a second. The outside mic is now off. It's down to 0. And I'll put it back up to its normal level there for the ambient sound. So it is on, but it's a quiet morning. We now are in lockdown, remember, here in Tokyo. We're in lockdown, and the restaurants are all... I got trapped 2 nights ago. I got takeout from the restaurant next to me here, the meat sake restaurant. I got their takeout at about 6:30. Domo. Arigatou gozaimasu. It's too small. It's too small. Domo. Oh, I know what it is. It's from Kyoso. It's from Suritaro, one of the printers who's working for us. It's a small batch of prints from one of our printers. No big deal. I was thinking maybe. No. It's too small for a package from YouTube. No, it's not. John, relax. It's too small. So I took the takeout, whatever, 6:30 or something, whatever. She's such a nice girl, you know. I'm trying to be nice to her, and she's really trying to be nice to me. I go to the counter there next door. I go in, order the takeout, pay my money. She says, okay, we'll bring it over. And I'm like, just ding me, you know, I'll come pick it up. She says, no, we'll bring it over, we'll bring it over. She's a little bit busy. There's customers and stuff in there. I can do nothing. So I just go back next door here, go upstairs to my room, and I just kind of listen. And she's so quiet. It would have been 10, 15 minutes later, and she knows what I'm trying to do, to head her off. So she quietly opens our door, and she's halfway up the stairs before I hear the sound, you know. And then I hear there's a mouse, I come outside and grab it from her. Just let me know, I'll come and pick it up, you know. She giggles. Really, really nice girl that works next door, you know, whatever. But then the usual thing is when I'm finished, of course, I take my tray back. I'm not such an idiot. I don't call her to pick it up. I go there to take it back. So yesterday I ate my dinner peacefully, slowly, did a bit of net surfing, whatever, looked at some YouTube videos, something, I forget what I was doing. And I finished my dinner, whatever, about 8:30 or so. I get the thing up, rinse the things off, and go to take them back, and they're closed. The shutter's closed. And I realized, Soka, it's locked down. They must be closed by 8 o'clock. And these guys are sort of following the rules a little bit. Down the street, it's a different story, but they're different. So I kept the dishes and took them back the next day, yesterday, you know. So they're happy to have a regular customer next door, and I'm happy to have tasty food next door. It's fine. I can't afford their dinner stuff, and actually I'm not their clientele for dinner. For dinner, they are trying to attract a group of people. You'd get 3, 4, 5, 6 people around the table. You order a bunch of small dishes, get a couple of bottles of wine or sake or stuff like that. So the menu is not a dinner menu, what you would call shokuji here in Japanese. So for dinner, there's nothing they've got that I can eat, that I can afford, or that I can eat as a single person, you know. But for lunch, they have shokuji, and they use their lunch menu for takeout in the evenings. So, but they don't want to put that menu up for general purpose in the evenings. Otherwise, people would order an $8 dinner instead of ending up spending 3, 4, 5,000 yen each, because it's all piece by piece, and the drinks are all separate. You know. So there's no way Dave, as a one-man show here, can eat dinner in most places in Asakusa, because that's not what they're designed for. is an E flat, absolutely. I think somebody said it. That's absolutely an E flat. What key do you dream in, Dave? I dream in E flat. You think the sound is intrusive now, you should hear it at 3 o'clock in the morning when everything else is silent. There's just that air conditioner and me and everybody else that lives around here. What do we got here? I can't see this. What's here? What's here? Well, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not connected to the top or the bottom. A little row of 6 semi-curved hairs. How are we doing for time? I do not want to be late for show and tell today because we have an object that's really worth looking at. Okay, no, we're still okay. Good, 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 good. Do I ever hit up the late night noodle bars I hear so much about? No, not at all. I'm a very square, straight, guy. I try and get my meals at the same time. At my age now, I can't fool around with staying up late. I learned that last month. What's the question about the across the street, the lanterns? They have some kind of veil-like material on them. What are we asking here? I can't see the full stream. If you're talking about the restaurant across the street, Kawa Yong, let's sidetrack for a minute. Let's pull this up. The ramshackle restaurant across the street, they do indeed. They have 4 or 5 lanterns outside. They scoop them from the Sanja Matsuri. The lanterns are all Sanja Matsuri lanterns. They try and protect them from rain by using a plastic bag, but even so, the first one on the right-hand side, it got a bit wind damaged, and it now looks like one of those hook-side images of a shrunken head. It's a pretty ramshackle place, Other people on the street are sort of doing what we can to keep our place clean and looking nice, but that's a bit of a different place, so. Take a look. Have I shifted over time to finer knives or stuck with thicker blades? It's a question of per job. The job we're doing right now has got a bog standard blade. There's nothing specifically delicate about it. The thickness is normal. The angle is normal. The tip is just what it is. There's nothing special or delicate or refined about this one at all for a job like this. Chop, 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 chop. Maybe when I get over to the tiger's face later on, some of the, the things that come out of his whiskers, maybe we'll have to think about what to do there with the sharpening. Not sure. But no, this is just a normal standard knife. The kind of knife we talked about in those videos, and Ito-san's knife and whatever, that was a very specialized tool for a very specialized item, carving the particular hair on the kind of prints we saw. That was not the daily way that a knife would be sharpened at all. The company with the loud air conditioner is Rox. I don't know, I think there's a joke happening here between L and R. Laox is a company in Akihabara. The local mall here is called Rox, R-O-X, and it's a pun on Roku, as in rock and roll, which is a pun on Dokdori, district number 6. We're on street number 6. So there's a bunch of wordplay going on here in 2 different languages. But the air conditioner is from the Mokuhankan. Another package.
せっかくなんで中に。
あ、どうも。はい、ありがとうございます。お、この大きいものを、はいはい。いい、ここ。ごめん、一番上にあるものをちょっと出してください。どうも、ごめん。ありがとうございます。No. No. It's Prince from Ome. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care. Play button means nothing to me. I don't care. The guy, I used language in the wrong way there. The bottom package the box is full. It's deep. It's quote big unquote. The one on the top is thinner, but it's larger in dimensions. It's big unquote. So I asked him, pass me the big one. He didn't. Of course, he didn't know what I meant, bottom or top. So. Just trying to be user-friendly here to show. If that thing, we finished the stream today. If that package arrives this morning, what am I supposed to do with it? Show? Open it on stream, so I'm not supposed to touch it for 2 more days. Suppose it arrives Monday noon, just after the stream. What am I supposed to do? Leave it till Thursday stream and not touch it? Really? So I don't know about this thing. Let's just let this thing play when it plays. I don't know. What time is it? 9 o'clock. So I mean, someone's saying, do not open it, and you said it's in capital letters, do not open it. I don't know about this, I don't know about this. I have the idea here, and this is not a strange idea. We have the idea here that we would like to make, a nice video about this. Which means not just ripping away green tape, Well, it's not going to have green tape, of course, but... So I don't know. I'm gonna reserve my options on this. I'm sorry. If it arrives in the middle of a stream, then whatever, we'll do that. But if it doesn't, I may be trying to make a bit more of a careful presentation about it. So I reserve the right to keep my options open here, please. What's the guy going to do, Birthday's nothing anymore. Nobody gives me a birthday present. Christmas is nothing anymore, I don't get stuff these days. So give me a break. It's okay. Somebody's giving me a present here. The 2 delivery men, the first guy was from the post office, and the second guy here is our black cat man. He's our tacky bin man. And I say, man, there's 3 or 4 guys on the team. It's a different guy each morning, but it's always the same team. There's 4 or 5 guys, whatever, that rotate. And man, these people work hard. Holy moly, they work hard, We get our first delivery of the day somewhere around 9 o'clock, but that's certainly not what time they started working. The truck pulled in there at, you tell me, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. The truck pulled into the depot, and these guys or their assistants, whatever, got the stuff all sorted out into routes. And a lot of it, I'm sure, these days is sorted by computer. They've got the barcodes, and the computer will spit out a sheet for how to put it in your buggy, And he came down the street pushing a buggy. He's got a hand, he just pushes a little wheeled buggy. And so maybe they're delivering in Hokkaido, it's all done by truck. Here in the middle of Tokyo, of course not. The larger trucks bring the package to each local center. And from the local center, everything happens by either pushed buggy or bicycle buggy. Some of the guys have a bicycle routine where there's what do you call it? The bicycle will pull a wheeled little cart. But these guys just all day long, they walk around this neighborhood, they've got their routine. The deliveries happen all day long. We're a regular customer for us, so they pick up with us. Now, if you're just a typical home or something, and you don't do business with them daily, then you take your package to the local center or to a convenience store. The convenience stores don't like that because you've got to stand there filling out the form while other people are waiting, so they don't want to do that. So the main way is you take it to the Takubin local center, and there's one of those every few blocks, literally every few blocks. But they pick up from us. So what we do when I've got a package ready, the package I made for Ome yesterday, I just tie it up, slap a label on, and I just put it outside and sits there on the sidewalk. We're lucky in that we have a bit of an alcove here, so I don't put it on the outside public sidewalk. I put it underneath our shutter. And next time one of the guys is walking down the street, and it's usually within 5, 10, 15 minutes or so, it'll never be there for an hour. The guy just pulls his buggy over, scoops it, leaves the receipt in the mailbox, and away we go, And all of the money, we do the money later on. He's brought these 2 packages. The bill will come at the end of the month. It's automatic deduction from our account. So we don't do anything to do with the money or the transactions or whatever. They are so efficient. Maybe I should ask them for a discount. Yeah, right. Right. Someone's asking, is that hostel still open behind the Asakusa shrine? None of those things are open at the moment. None of them. There's nothing. All the backpackers' places, the hostel, the Kao-san system is all shut down. They're still there. They are sleeping. There's some things interesting happening. The Bunka hostel, which is around the corner in Sushiadori, they've been closed for a year, same as we have. But recently now, they have started to rent out their lobby space. They're actually on a busy street. So all of last week, their lobby space was being used by people selling discount imitation handbags. And then next week, it'll be something else. And I noticed yesterday, the Asakusa View Hotel, 3 years ago, they started construction on a bekkan, an annex to the Asakusa View Hotel, one of Tokyo's main hotels. They built an annex for it, and they were ready to open just that spring, a year and a half ago or so, just when the corona started. So they canceled the opening, and the whole place has been sheathed in and wrapped up. They have put the whole thing to bed. There may be maintenance people taking care of the water or something, I don't know, but it's all closed. But for this week, and this week only, the lobby area and ground floor are being used as a special event. There's some new anime movie that was released, and the fans are looking at a presentation, and the stars, the voice actors are there or something, whatever. So they were lined up around the street, and it'll be going on today. The lineups will probably come down this far. There's a huge, huge event happening in the lobby, the ground floor of the hotel. So these places like us, they're trying to figure out now. They thought they were going to close for 3 months, 6 months. It's turned out to be a lot longer, of course. And just like us, they're trying to figure out how to survive and how to use their space. This is why they can do that during lockdown. There's no legal lockdown here. The lockdown is the Prime Minister saying, please everybody, don't drink so much in public. That's all. There's no legal lockdown. None of the levels of government have any power to tell these businesses or individuals what to do at all. It's a funny place. Westerners might think of Japan as being not a semi-police state, but as being a place where the state has power over the individuals. It's actually almost the other way around. There's no level of government here that has very much power, legal power over individuals or businesses or whatever at all. It's a very interesting, anomalous situation. The new constitution that came in after the war. Before the war, Japan was actually a police state. They had this thing called the Kempeitai. And people were scooped by the police, taken in for questioning, and you might see them again and might not if they thought you were pinko or whatever. But after the war, it all changed. The new constitution took away all those powers. It's a very, very interesting situation now. We read about some of the lockdowns overseas that the government has, legally empowered to force these people to stay home and not go outside and not gather more than 6 people or blah, blah, blah. None of that is legally possible here in Japan. So it's all suggestion. So this anime company has scheduled this event, and the anime fans are going to line up around the block, and that's all there is. That's it. And the anime fans are all 20s and 30s and teenagers. They're all immortal anyway. So, you know the thinking. I should send a link now that I've talked about it. Has somebody got a link? Is it Demon Slayer? I don't know the English names here. Just a sec. Let me find the link for you. 1 second. ちょっと待ってください. If I type in Asakusa anime event でしょ. Top hit. Am I a Googler or not am I a Googler? Top hit. One. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. I can't copy the Google link because that's all full of back crap. Let me go to the page first. Hi. Here we are. Kimetsu. The Japanese name for this. I don't even know what this is. Is this Demon Slayer or not? I'm sorry, I don't know. Here is the event page. You tell me. Kimetsu no Yaiba. I don't know. I'm sorry. Started yesterday. A giant collaboration event. Whatever. You guys can look at translations and stuff and whatever. See what's going on. And I know one thing, it's caused a huge amount of garbage and crap here, because what's happened is there must be some kind of a giveaway there where people are paying or buying or getting a free ticket. They get this plastic little package, and inside there are some tickets or cards or whatever. And as typical with Japan, there's 2 kinds. There's atari and hazure. When you buy the old-fashioned popsicle here in Japan, this still exists, where you can buy like a popsicle. After you finish the popsicle, the stick is printed with one of those 2 words, hazure, hazure, hazure. Once in 100, the stick will be printed with the word atari, you win. You take it back to the shop and you get another popsicle. So these cards they were giving out yesterday, it was hazure, 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 atari. And the people that got hazure just went. So all down the street here, I didn't know what they were at first. All down the street, there's these aluminum plastic folders, little envelopes that had these little tickets inside. And there's the folder blowing down the street and the ticket. These are kids, eh? These are kids. Japanese kids behave the same as kids anywhere. I didn't win, throw it over your shoulder. They blew down the street literally yesterday. Someone says, this is interesting. Kind of strange to hold it in Asakusa, since it's already so close to Akihabara. Asakusa ain't what you knew. Asakusa is changed. Asakusa is trying to be the hip, trendy place for young people, for dressing up, for going out for the day, for getting drunk at night, and the hotels are there in the back. Asakusa is now for the young. It's no longer for the old dudes who spent the day at the horse race off betting track, or for the mid-manager who brings his secretary to Hanayashiki and then the Love Hotel behind it. It's now all about young people. They want to eat tiny strawberry frappes for 700 yen each. They want to see these anime events. Asakusa is changing as we speak. As we speak. Well, is this Demon Slayer? Kimetsu no Yaiba? I don't know the English translations here, I'm sorry. All I know is that this had lineups around the block, and today and from now on it is going to be lineups, lineups, lineups. Show and tell. Okay. Let me do a bit more carving. I'm talking way too much today, sorry. also, speaking about Akihabara and Asakusa, a lot of people actually don't know this, but Asakusa is really, really close in access to Akihabara. We are 2 train stations away on the Tsukuba Express line. A lot of people don't know about that line. It was a train line built 10, 15 years ago or so to go out towards the university area in Tsukuba. I think it was part of the deal. They were going to make a new university village and try and get researchers from all over the world to come out and blah, 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 whatever, story. But it also became a new suburb of Tokyo once this new train line was built. And the idea originally had been to run it all the way to Tokyo. But money got in the way, and also not geography, physical situation. There was no way physically to get another tunnel and another train through that area because there's so many tunnels, so many trains, so many things out there already. It wasn't physically possible to run one more all the way into Tokyo. They got it as far as Akihabara. So the Tsukuba Express line terminates at Akihabara. And it comes through, guess where? Asakusa. We are 2 stops from the end of the line. This was really convenient for Cameron because he lives out in that area, that part of Japan, and he commutes directly down the Tsukuba Express. So the point I was getting at is actually to get from here to Akihabara is 3 minutes on the train. 3 minutes once you get onto the train. It's a deep train line, so it takes you 15 minutes once you go through the gate to get down to the train. But the train run itself is only 3 minutes. So that may be part of the factor of the people who set up this event. Maybe Akihabara places are all too expensive, I don't know. They got this cheap hotel because it's just abandoned, and the hotel people were probably more than happy to have it used and rent paid and stuff like this, I guess. And there is close access to Akihabara, and then the new modern mood of Asakusa fits this. So there you have it. I wouldn't have thought about it. If you told me 10 years ago there's going to be an anime convention / event and it's going to be in Asakusa, I would have just killed myself laughing. Like, good luck on that one, guy. Good luck on that one. You're not going to get a single person to attend that. But that was then, and this is now. Okay. We are time to show. What a mixed stream this has been today. Okay, let's zoom out. The thing we're going to look at today is fairly big. It's a little bit large. This is another thing. When I was upstairs this morning looking at something to choose for today's show and tell, the Sakura Hostel is still there. Those guys are actually still open. They're hanging in open. Don't eat there, but whatever. Okay, the thing is physically large. As I said, when I was up there this morning looking for things to choose to show, I have all kinds of stuff that is just too large to show on this desk. We talked about it before. If I had a helper here to move the camera, when Taran came a while ago, we looked at some larger stuff. But day by day, I'm here by myself. I can't pick the big object. So this one is a bit big. And we're going to have trouble. I got to be careful because it's also a little bit fragile. And if I screw around with this too much, it's going to get bashed up. So you don't need my mug here. Why is their food bad? I should qualify what I say. Because they are still open, they've put a sign outside, we're doing takeout. So there's very few people in the place, and I went over there one evening, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. I saw the takeout sign, so I went over there one evening to get a takeout. They had the menu there, and the guy said, "Do you really want that?" I said, "Well, what is if it's not available? Let me know." He said, "No, I guess I can make it." And I'm like, "Do I really want to be here?" Anyway, I said, "Okay, whatever." So I stand there, and he goes to the freezer, pulls out something, goes to the fridge, pulls out something. He gets the microwave. I hear ding. 2 minutes later, I hear a ding. 2 minutes later, I hear another ding. He gives me the bag. I'm like, there's nothing. It's just, it was dehydrated, defrosted, frozen piece of crap. So whatever, that was my experience at the Sakura Hostel 3 months ago. In a normal environment, when they have a normal kitchen and people actually cook stuff, it might be a different story. my experience was at the moment, even though it says takeout menu, don't bother. Okay, we have a book. It's a very, very famous book. I actually have 2 copies of this. Don't tell my mother what I'm wasting my money on. I have 2 copies of this. And this is Yoshiwara, I should have looked it up. K-something, Keisai or Keisei, courtesans, Yoshiwara ladies. Shin Bijin Awase, the new beauties. Awase means we're going to compare. We're going to put them side by side. We're going to match them up here. The Yoshiwara top-class courtesans, the new beauties, we're going to put them all together and match them up. And this is Jihitsu. I don't pronunciation. Jihitsu or Jihitsu. Self-brush. And this is mirror, kagami. And this is Zen, the whole thing. Self-brush means calligraphy, whatever. And mirror is we're going to see all this stuff reflected back and forth and back and forth, back and forth. So the point being, it's an album of prints. We are going to look at some very high-class ladies here. It's not advertising for their services. It's just a book done about the Yoshiwara. And we are told, actually, the British Museum has a really, really good page. I should have prepared in advance. The British Museum, let me look this up, but in the meantime, you can look at a pretty picture. Just a minute. Page 1. I have to be careful. This is one fragile book. You look at that for a minute while I go to the British Museum website, because there is or somebody else can do it. If you look up this book in the British Museum, who's the fastest Googler? Who's the fastest Googler? Click, 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 tick, 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 tick. Got it. Am I the first? Has somebody beaten me? Quick, John, I beat him. Gotcha. The British Museum has this book, and they have if you look through to that link, they have tons and tons and tons and tons of information on this. It'll tell you everything you need to know. This is published by the top publisher of the time, Tsutoya Juzaburo. He's the guy who did most of the famous Utamoto prints, the Utamoto books, the Sharak prints we know. This book was illustrated by Kitao Masanobu, and it originally wasn't going to be a book. It was going to be a set of 100 prints. This we are told by the researchers. It was going to be 100 single prints. They got the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 published, and I guess they realized that this is going to cost a whole lot more money than we're thinking about. They put the 7 into an album and sold it as a single album. And the idea is, it's 2 people. It's Kitao Masanobu, the designer, and then Santo Kyoden, the poet slash artist slash philosopher. And the idea is, it's how these cultured gentlemen perceive the Yoshiwara. Why are they there? They're there to meet these cultured ladies who can write poems, and the poetry here is purported to be in the calligraphy by the ladies themselves. So the ladies have chosen poems or written poems. Don't quote me on that. And then the ladies did the calligraphy themselves, sent over to the publisher, who put it all together with Masanobu's designs. And it is one of the most spectacular, stupendous productions in all of ukiyo-e history. I got to tell you right now, the British Museum has that copy. How can Dave afford this? He has a reproduction. The one you're looking at here is a Taisho era reproduction. Let me look up the date. It's Taisho 5. Some publisher lost his marbles and decided to make a reproduction of this album. I can't imagine how much it cost. So the British Museum has the quote-unquote original. Dave here has this reproduction version, which is just beyond belief. Now, I've got to be careful. The album is only held together by each individual piece of paper folded in the middle. So it's heavy at the left and heavy at the right, just held together with the folded paper. So I cannot screw around with this. I'm going to have to be really careful here. So just let me try and zoom in a bit. Again, I have to be careful how I move this around. This is not something I can casually toss around. Sorry. I've looked but can find no evidence of inserted boxwood. We talked about this before, remember, on a stream a few weeks ago? In a print like this, it would have been made from cherry blocks, and the heads would perhaps have been made with inserted boxwood. I can find no trace of that here, which means either they had a wonderfully, stupendously good, rich, hard piece of cherry, or the guy inlaying the boxwood was so good at this, they chose such good wood, they inlaid it so well that we cannot see any traces of joints around. And I have looked at this under the scope trying to find evidence of this. So which one it is, I don't know. I have no evidence either way. This could be cherry, it could be boxwood. And it's a wonderful, wonderful mirror into the lives of those ladies and their attendants. And we would assume pretty much that what we're seeing is the real thing. These are the dresses that they would be wearing. They couldn't all be boxwood. Boxwood doesn't come that big. The trees only grow a few centimeters wide. It's impossible to get large pieces of boxwood. And if they were joined together, we'd have the same thing. We would be able to see the joints. You tell me. No comment here from Dave. No comment. A lot of these is seasonal, and I think we're sort of, the story of the book is that this is perhaps like one of those New Year parades. So I believe, this is open to interpretation, I believe we are looking at a winter scene, the gorgeous New Year parade, where women from different houses would parade down the center of the Yoshiwara. There are 7 designs in all. And there's a bit of sadness for me on this here, in that this is the Taisho era reproduction. And they did it with Taisho era pigments. And some of the pigments involved here, some of these purples and some of these reds, were pigments that didn't exist back when the original book would have been made. And the mood then of the pictures is thus completely different. It's harder. The carving is a bit harder and a bit blacker than the original, and some of the colors are in nowhere near equivalent to the colors that would have been used in the original book. So in no way is this, would I rather have this? No, I would rather have one page of the original than this complete book. But my God, what a production. What a production. Here's more clues. It's winter. We have a hibachi. That's the only heating for a building like that in Japan at the time. A tray full of sand and gravel with coals on top. That's the central heating in a Japanese building of the day. The whole mood is middle of winter / New Year. And it's a riot of color and design. Why wouldn't they have copied the original palette? I'm going to guess here, because they, in the Taisho era, were thinking, we are modern. We are technologically advanced. The original book back in, somebody looked it up, 1780s, 178 something. Somewhere in the middle of the 1780s, I don't know the date. 1780 something. The Taisho era people would have looked back at the original and said they were good at this, but they didn't have access to the wonderful modern stuff that we have. The modern pigments, the modern carvers with their sharp tools and sharp lines. So they would have been making what they thought was an improved version. I have no documentation on this. I'm just thinking out loud how I think their thinking must have been. They were really good at this. They could take this book and make a copy of it. And then they were thinking, those old fugitive pigments, they fade out in 15 minutes. We can do it with our more modern, bright, wonderful pigments, is what I'm thinking that they were thinking. Seen from our vantage point now, 100 years later, we don't see that Taisho mood and feeling as being modern at all. We just see it as being something of that era. And we don't respect the artistic ethos of that era as much as we do the era before that, the 1780s. So yeah, I would rather have one faded copy from the original, as long as it was nicely made, than the entire book from Taisho. But having said that, it is still a glorious, glorious production. It's astonishing. I'm not catching the conversation. There's lots of detail about what's going on inside. I am not the go-to man. I know a little bit about these things. The pillow, the wooden block pillows, so they could keep their hair ornaments off the ground. All of this stuff is well documented. I'm not an expert on Yoshiwara buildings and prostitutes and clothing and stuff like that at all. All of these details are very, very, very well documented. There's no surprises or secrets in a picture like this. We know what's going on. This copy was made in Taisho 5. Somebody must have given a date earlier in the stream. It's Taisho 5 reproduction. Did somebody do? Yeah, 1916. John has popped up. Thank you, John-san. And the original would have been 1780 something. That British Museum page must say 1780 something. So 150 years between the two copies, and now we're 100 years later. There's also, I don't know if they're showing here, there's lots and lots of embossing. This is done on a super thick, rich paper. Oh, you can catch it. Yeah, look at this. This lady's, one of her under kimonos is richly, richly embossed. It's an absolutely stupendous top-level production, you know. The faces and hair ornaments are of the era. We don't think this is particularly beautiful. But she was, to me, this looks almost like a man's face. I don't know, but whatever. But the beauty, the concept of beauty changed over the years, and how they depicted it changed over the years. Dave's interest here is in the production. But a misregistration there too, nay? So look, oh no, it's in front of her face. It's not misregistration. The shamisen actually comes in front of her face. Soka. I thought it was misregistration. Sorry. Look at those fingers. 1784. Okay, we're close then. I knew it was 1780s because that's Tsutai Jizawaro's big era. His top time was 1780s and 1790s. So I knew it was in there somewhere. This is fun. You seen this? Anybody who's lived in Japan knows what this is. This is fun. My house was full of these. No, the shoji. It's neither mended nor is it broken. Shoji screens have the lattice. What we're looking at here, the lattice is on the back side away from us. We are looking at the side where the paper is pasted on top of the lattice. And some screens have a handle thing in the wood where you grab the handle, you can slide it open and slide it closed. If you are on the side where the lattice is visible, like this one behind me here, you can touch the lattice and slide the screen open and closed. But if you're on the side of the screen where there's neither a handle nor the lattice, what do? The shoji maker comes into your house, he prepares it, finishes it, and runs away. He leaves it in this condition. Meanwhile, you and your kids there are now, how do I get out of this room? We can't get out of the room. You try and dig your fingers at the edge of this thing. So Dad goes to the cupboard, gets a cutter knife, Dad gets a cutter knife. I'm not going to do it here. And we draw an X. We cut with an X the paper on one of these squares. And you can see what's happening there. Imagine this, cut with an X, and you push it back in to the back of the lattice, and you put a new piece of paper on the back of it. So it's hard to describe in words. This is a flat, smooth surface. This is now an indented box. And you can see the 4 triangle-shaped pieces that were the original paper sliced with an X that have been pushed back, and they have another sheet glued behind them to hold it into. So it's a little paper box, and that now gives you a place with your fingers to go in and slide this open and closed. And every Japanese house that has shoji screens, at least every house that has kids and practical people like me, has these things. You won't see it in the Emperor's Palace because they've got people standing by to open and close the doors. But the book itself, so someone's asking, the book itself is indeed in concertina form. As I said, I've got to be really, really careful here. I can pick this up bit by bit. You can see the book is an accordion/concertina form. This book has nothing on the back side. Sometimes we look at these albums. We saw this just the other day. I got to the back of the album, flipped it over, and we came around the back side. This book is not made this way. This is 7 sheets of paper, folded in half, glued at the edges with heavy covers. So every single page of this album, the full stress of the whole thing is just on the middle of this washi. It's not designed for sitting in your lap. It's designed for, putting it on a table, look through it, and then put it away. It's not a practical book at all. There's shomenzuri on some of these, polished black. I can't really balance this around and lift it up and show you. I'm sorry. A lot of the blacks are done with shomenzuri. You can make so many prints out of this. Any one of these things could be cut and cropped into a nice print. The book is full, just full of imagery. Meow. Seems pretty clear what this one is. I doubt that that's butter. I'm sure it's not butter. It's incense or it's food or something. These ladies have got their snacks. They've got their tea and their food and their snacks. This is an incense burner, I believe. I'm not quite sure. This, I think, is a coal. The drawers will have incense. The little burner at the top is a place for burning incense, I believe. These are snacks. Calligraphy, of course. Everything. The whole mood is high class, upper class, super rich. One more. This is now number 7, the last one. And with this, we've had a New Year mood. We've been in winter, and to close the book off, we have got the first sign of spring coming here in the corner. So the book makes sense. It's through a cold season coming into the spring. Reference to the famous Genji story. Her kimono was patterned with Genji Mon. We have illustrations from Genji, the tale of the Genji here. There we have it. And there's a foreword and an afterword, also all carved in reproduction of the original. The afterword here, that's the publisher, Tsutaya Ju Zaburo, and the designer, Kitao Masanobu. This was the afterword from the original. It's been reproduced by wood carving here, and at the beginning we saw back at the front, the original frontispiece has also been replicated, carved, and printed as well. Then what is not in the original, there's one page here in the Taisho era that is not present in the original book, and that's the Taisho era colophon. Taisho 5, the publisher Yoshikawa Kobunkan, a publisher who did lots of these reproductions. I have a whole bunch of them upstairs. He printed dozens and dozens of reproductions of Edo era books, and they're done really nicely with the one proviso that the carving is stiff and the coloring is Taisho era coloring. But this is the guy, Yoshikawa Kobunkan, the name of the company. And then they put an explanation sheet explaining something about the original book. But other than that, the whole production is identical to the 1784 version. We have two of them in pretty much the same condition. A little bit beaten up, this one. Okay, there we are. There we have it. Yoshiwara Keisei Shin Bijin Awase Jihitsu Kagami Zen. That'll do us. Okay, gang, there we are for another day. What's today? Saturday. I now have, it's a test of Dave's discipline now. No one's going to bother me for 2 days. It's my discipline now. Just me and this block. There's lots of other work to do, accounting and year-end stuff, but it's up to me now to say, leave that stuff alone. Dave, get some carving done. Can I do it? What are we going to see on Monday morning? Will it be finished? I'll probably be in the middle of the face. I don't know. Possible, if I become a Superman over the next 2 days, it's possible it'll be finished. I'll be doing something else on Monday. Not likely. Okay, guys? Thank you very much. I'm going to pop up the outside for a minute here just before we go. I'll be seeing you again 2 days from now, minus 90 minutes on Monday morning. It's going to be so hot already out there. It is hot. We're looking at 1,000 degrees today. I don't know the number. It's going to be hot. Hey, no mask. Did you see that? Was he Japanese? Okay, I'm out of here. Switching off now. I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye for now.